So I was reading in the newspaper how, country is selling billions of dollars of war weaponry, to other countries. And I thought to myself, well, this must be the United States of America because we sell weapons of war and weapons of mass destruction all the time. But this was South Korea. And then I did a little bit of research and I found out that all the countries of the world that are actually industrialized, which means they're not third world countries, are actually selling weapons of war. That is actually one of the biggest sellers in almost every economy in the world. So you have to think, why do all these wars happen? Because there's people who are in these countries who need to make a profit. Wars are absolutely rigged. They're absolutely staged. They're organized, and they benefit certain people in the upper 1% of our society. Those are the people who own the weapon manufacturers. But I will tell you, everybody acts like they're just in the United States. They're all around the world. I don't care what country it is. You can go to Russia, you can go to China, you can go to India, you can go to Pakistan. You can go any place where there's actually like some kind of commercialism where somebody's making $1, and there's people who are like making weapons and selling weapons, and they're selling them on a grand scale. You have to start thinking about, 2 + 2 is 4, instead of believing what they told you. Whenever you're little, there's certain things you're told that, people who serve in the military, they're the good guys and they're here to defend our freedom. And they tell you this in every society that has a military. And they tell you this because they need you to absolutely believe that militaries are a good thing, that wars are absolutely the last resource and nobody at all orchestrates them. And they happen because, heaven forbid, there was 1 or 2 people who got out of hand and this was the result of it. That's not the case. What it is you have all these countries who are basically in line step doing a line dance together, who are absolutely kind of like maneuvering, these huge factions, maneuvering and maneuvering and maneuvering until wars happen. Whether it's Ukraine, whether it's Cuba, it doesn't matter what country it is. I can give you like 50 different countries that wars have happened in, and every one of them were orchestrated. None of them happened overnight. And that's not to say there's not bad people, but they happen because there's people who are making massive weapons and they're making massive money off of the massive weapons. It's not just the United States, but I will tell you, United States, we're the worst. Nobody else even comes close to us. We have 1,000 military bases around the world. That's absolutely crazy. Yeah, there's not that much danger in the world. After September 11, 2001 happened, actually, I was working in disaster services then, and I told people, I was like, if there's people who really wanted to kill us, guess what? They would kill us. There's not that many evil actors on this planet. Unlike what the TV shows tell you, we got all these like FBI, CIA, special kind of ops kind of TV shows happening. There's not that many negative, bad people on the planet. The FBI and the CIA, they have more than 1 million U.S. citizens who are on their watch list because they could possibly be terrorists. If there was 1 million people in the United States that were terrorists, we would all be gone. It wouldn't be that hard at all. And the thing that's sad about that is it's given the government a reason to watch and harass and keep tabs on 1 million people that they have no reason to be bothering. You got to start asking, why are we doing the things that we're doing? Whenever you see wars, I was reading an article the other day that was interesting. It was talking about the decline of man. And it was talking about males, females, women are going to college more and men are not going to college as much. Men are becoming less unemployed. Becoming more unemployed. They're not going after higher end jobs and stuff like that. And the person who was talking about that was all talking about money, 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 money. But I don't think it has anything to do with that. I think there's people who are kind of getting fed up with the way things are. And they're kind of dropping out because they don't buy into the bullshit anymore. There's definitely people who are running corporations that are just absolutely, greedy ass jerks. They would pay somebody in the 1970s $80,000 to do a job, and today they'll pay them $50,000. That's beyond stagnation. That's absolutely criminal. what you got paid in the 1970s and what you get paid today, it should be 4 times the amount because that's what the cost of living is now. What it would have cost you to live in the 1970s and 1980s is going to cost you 4 to 5 times more of that to live the same lifestyle today. You know, that's crazy. But the wages have actually gone down. And people act like, well, the wages have gone down because, you know, people, you know, the government, the corporations are greedy. That's absolutely true. That's why the wages went down. But you also have people dropping out of the workforce because they're kind of fed up. It's just like anxiety or anything else. They're paying attention to what's going on. You know, when you have bullshit wars going on, that takes a toll. When you have people being harassed, whenever you have people being shot, whenever you have people, mass shootings all over the United States and America, that takes a toll. That takes a toll for people's mental health. You know, whenever you're constantly telling people that they're different, so they're not right, that's bullshit. There isn't anybody that you think that you hate that you don't know somebody who kind of could be that person. And that's what's frustrating to me. Whenever people say that they hate certain kind of groups or something, or they don't like certain kind of groups, you know, you had the mass shooting that happened at the gay bar in Colorado, and the father was actually like somebody that told his son he wanted him to be aggressive because that gave him immediate results. That's exhausting. But then he act like being gay was like such a horrible thing. I'm going to let the father know this. There isn't anybody in America that doesn't have either a family member, a friend, a neighbor, a colleague, or an acquaintance in their life that isn't gay. And whenever you act like, well, I don't like those crazy, let's say, right-wing, like evangelical, like Trumpers or something like that, I'm going to let you know this too. There's not anybody in your life that can't fit in a certain category that you have a problem with. You've got to stop the hate of like certain groups. Most groups, you can come to some kind of understanding or understand where they came from to get to that point. It doesn't mean that you necessarily agree with them or disagree with them. Most people who actually like are churchgoers do not hate gay people. That's just the truth. You know, most people who are from the South do not hate black people. You know what? There's certain kind of like stereotypes that are out there that are just bullshit. Whenever I lived in California, you know, when people would tell me they couldn't understand how in the hell I ever lived in the South and, you know, how traumatizing that must have been, I just kind of laughed because it's like, first of all, there's good people everywhere. There's jerks everywhere. And it's like any place in America I can go to and I can find somebody who's the salt of the earth. And I can find somebody who's absolutely like, oh my God, please let me stop talking to this idiot right now. This is what you don't understand about the South. People have stereotypes about the South, and I'm not saying the South doesn't have problems, but there are more interracial relationships and marriages in the South than there is in the rest of the United States of America. So whenever people act like the South has such a problem with African Americans, with black people, that's an exaggeration on a huge level. It just is, because there are problems, and I'll be the first to say it, but there are problems in America with almost every kind of issue there is, and people who try to divide, they're not making it better for any of us. You have to look at the total picture. Like I said before, there are more interracial relationships and marriages in the South than there is anywhere else in the United States. Not only that, more Christians don't hate gays than the few that do. So we have to stop thinking, well, I need to put everybody into this little basket because it like suits what my own thinking is. Well, your thinking is absurd and kind of skewed. You don't necessarily know what you think that you know. You got to look at the bigger picture. You have to look at the bigger picture. As far as like mass shootings, stop killing people because they're different than you. If you're in pain, you know, if you've got problems, talk to somebody. And I will tell you this, and people are going to hate the fact that I say this. If you want to end your life, but don't kill other people in the process. And I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's your mother. I don't care if it's your father. I don't care if it's somebody else, unless they're stopping you from leaving, they've got you kidnapped and they're holding you and against your will and like torturing you or raping you and stuff like that daily, get away from them. The best revenge in life is success. It is. So if somebody's done you harm, get the hell away from them. Don't kill them. If you are so unhappy on this planet and that's what you want to do, so be it, but don't take other people with you. And there's a big difference between self-defense and you killing innocent people just because you're miserable. If you're miserable, you need to own that. And you need to make the choices you need to make, but you don't need to take other people with you. You know, anytime there's a mass shooting in America, it's like everybody's in shock and everybody's in, what are we going to do? And they want to have like 50,000 blames for it. We've got to stop it. We have to change the way we think from very young age all the way up until adulthood about the way we see stuff. You're allowed to be different. You're allowed to see things differently than other people see things. You don't have to become the way they are, but you do have to tolerate other people who think differently than you. You don't need to have everybody thinking the same as you, because if you did, guess what? You'd be bored out of your mind. You would. So change the way you think.